Hi, my name is Jose Aquino, and I'm here joining me Steve Figueroa. And today we're going to be talking about just a few of the lies of Donald Trump on this racist campaign that is we're going through, historical campaign, because never seen in my life, never heard in any other country such a racist campaign where one of the candidates can say anything he wants and do anything he wants, and his followers, the Anglo white people that follow him, don't care. What they care about is that he gets elected and that Hillary Clinton will lose these elections and throw them out at Hillary Clinton. That's what they all specialize on. Steve, what do you think about, let's talk about the first lie. What do you think about the first lie that Trump, first he said that he has met Putin, Russian president, so many times, and he even said that recording on many interviews, and lately he backed off and he says that he actually never met him in person.
Well, we got to remember Donald Trump is a multi-personality individual. Many individuals are calling him schizophrenic, bipolar,
pathological,
mood disorders, pathological, narcissistic. So
a liar.
It depends what Donald Trump we're talking to on that particular day. I mean, it's kind of like the movie Sybil, multi-personality disorders.
So you think he's a pathological liar? He's a big-time liar.
I think he suffers from a traumatic brain injury, and that maybe his father hit him too much on the head when he was growing up.
You think he might be in sexual abuse when he was a child or something?
You know, one speculates that he shows the sign of abuse and that the trauma that he's going through. I mean, if you do read the certain studies that when they become adults, they act out what they suffered as a children.
You know, when you look at his face, once in a while he had this weird look, looking like he's been abused when he was a child. He probably been molested sexually or mentally or something, somehow. But it looks to me like that caused him to be a serious, dangerous liar.
Well, remember, his father was an avid supporter of the Ku Klux Klan, participated in Ku Klux Klan and Nazi marches in the 30s and some in the 40s. They practiced racial segregation. His brother committed suicide. Can you imagine the pressure in the Trump house that would cause your brother to commit suicide, and yet they still all defend Dad?
That's a very, very disorganized family for a brother to commit suicide. And I understand it's because Fred, the father, was very racist or very unfair with the older son, and he loved Donald Trump more than the older son, and he just never allowed the older son to develop, and he harassed him and he put him down so much that he decided to commit suicide.
I can't imagine the pain that he went through having Donald Trump as his brother.
And Fred as a father.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
They both jerks, arrogant.
With mother just looking aside and turning the head to the abuse.
Yeah. Don't you think it's ridiculous for a United States candidate to say that he knows Putin in person and he met Putin, and he said that several times all over, and not just recently. He's been doing this for months, and lately he just admitted. He flat admitted that he lied, that he never met Putin. You know, after they criticized him for hiring those Russian hackers to hack the Democratic Party computers, and now he says, no, I never met Putin in person. So now he back off. So basically, this is the personality that we're dealing for a president of the United States, which is really would give a very bad negative message to the voters that this president, this candidate, if he ever wins, he'll never do what he said.
Oh, he's, you know, Donald Trump and Putin, did he meet him? You know, maybe he met him in a back room, and who knows what they did together. But, you know, what he says today and says tomorrow, who knows? You know, according to researchers who did biographies on him, he did dealings with the Russian mafia in New York. He did dealings with various unscrupulous crime organizations, and that's how he built the wealth.
How about the prostitution that his father was basically everybody has understand that Trump's father has been involved in prostitution business in the past. I don't know if that's when Donald Trump was already a teenager or not, but I understand that the construction big facade, it was just a facade that they put on the front, and behind everything where the real money was, it was a prostitution money. And who knows, maybe mafia too, maybe long time ties to the Russian mafia.
But remember, during that time, Trump was so bad, such an out of control in his behavior, that his father put him in military school for teenagers, a boarding school, to try to straighten him out.
But he got kicked out. He got kicked
Right,
out.
he got kicked out because he had the inability to follow orders, to have the moral and ethical standards that are required of someone being in the service.
Well, let's talk about the lie number 2 of today. We have hundreds of lies, but we're only going to mention 35 lies that we're going to go through this program. And I hope you guys at home enjoy with us. I hope everybody get the message and everybody get informed, which is that's our purpose, to get everybody informed. The lie number 2, Trump stated many times, he stated that 81% of the white people killed in United States, it was killed by black African Americans. Later on, a study shows that only less than 10% of white people killed in America probably have something connection to the African American community, but nobody can prove it. But later, when Trump was confronted, he admitted that he lied, that he just make up those numbers out of the nowhere. What do you think, Steve?
What I think is, it comes down, the number one killer of people in America is other family members. And it's through, our protected Second Amendment. And since Trump, he knows no end to lie. It's always heartbreaking when someone is killed, but to blame other people that you don't know, other races, as a way of justifying it, it's one of the practices of Hitler.
But you don't think it's ironic that he still goes and he still tried to penetrate the African American community and try to get their vote after he make those horrible comments, not only about the 81% of white people being killed by the African Americans, about the 81% of African Americans being killed by white cops. Why he doesn't mention that? Only because you think black's life doesn't matter? Black lives matter as much as the white. So I believe that when we talk about numbers, we should talk about both numbers, not just about one.
Well, what's scary is he's trying to instill fear in mainstream America, to do race baiting among the different races, the different ethnicities and nationalities. And quite frankly, he's been pretty successful at stirring up the old Ku Klux Klan and the alternate right that we thought was extinguished in the 20s, 30s, and 50s. Though he's been able to revive the movement. David Duke, the leader, the Grand Imperial Wizard for the Ku Klux Klan, has said Donald Trump is their man.
So what did those Anglo-white Trump followers think? Do they realize that Donald Trump is dividing us? Do they know that this is America and this is not America for the white only? You think that they realize that if Trump wins as a president, he's going to divide us? Would they realize that it could be a revolution between African Americans and Latinos and whites if Trump ever gets elected, because he's going to divide us? He's already doing it. And that's scary, don't you think? Yeah,
it's scary. Obama said this morning that anyone who's not 100% Native American blood is an immigrant, either by choice or brought here. And he was right this morning. And Donald Trump, in instilling such fear, is forgetting to realize all of our children are marrying all of their children. And we're becoming interracial, international, interethnicity. And he may be, in the future, talking about one of his own grandkids marrying a Latino.
I really believe that, even though, he speaks so bad about Latinos and African Americans, he still makes his money based on the poor people working for him. Without them, he will not be making the kind of profits that he makes, because he doesn't pay them. Half of them, he doesn't pay them, and the ones he paid them very little. He doesn't pay them enough.
And he files bankruptcy in all the small businesses. So here's a guy who claims he wants to increase jobs. He wants to increase minimum wage jobs so he can make the big bang. because his stockholders don't get paid because he files bankruptcy on them too.
That's ridiculous. But let's talk to the lie number 3. Trump says that he will impose a 45% tariff to China on any imports that we bring from China. He said he would charge 45% of that.
What's remarkable is 50% of all American business imports from China. American-built cars, American-built engines, American-built cell phones.
Parts.
The iPhone is built in China. So
Everything.
I could go on and on. Tires are made in China. So he's going to put a 45% tax on American companies.
Okay, Steve, but my question is, don't you think he's really stupid to say that? Because who's going to pay for the 45% increase is the consumer, right?
Right? And
So
what's
Chinese,
also going to happen is China's going to do a 45% or 50% tax on American products. It's going to be an unwinnable trade war.
Of course, China's hands are not tight.
And guess what's going to happen? Europe is going to benefit. And the other countries who have no tariffs, who are going to be paying lower product. So he's going to be creating a black market industry for certain products.
But you know what is interesting? Trump back off. Lately they asked him, are you sure you're going to impose, and that was at AMBC News, and they asked him, are you serious? Are you sure you're going to impose 45% on any Chinese products coming to America? And he says, I never say that.
Well, maybe he meant his ties, his suits, his clothing, and other products that Donald Trump has made in China. He took away American jobs to create Chinese jobs.
That's a good point. So that's another lie right there. That's another lie. That's a lie over the lie, right? So my grandfather used to say, when you lie one time, you need to lie a second time, Trump, so you can cover the first one. Mr. Trump, but people are not stupid. They can see the second lie as much as they can see the first lie.
That's right.
So anyway, but this is Trump. Okay, let's go to the number 4. He says that when the 9/11 attacks, he says Muslims were dancing, celebrating in New Jersey. Can you believe that? He says that there was Muslim in New Jersey, just outside New York, celebrating the knockdown of the towers on the 9/11 attacks. Steve, this is ridiculous. Later on, they've been asking him if he ever said it. He said he doesn't remember saying it. It was recorded. It was recorded, and it was recorded, and the reporter proved it. And Donald Trump, he said that was not his voice. That's ridiculous.
Well, like I said, Donald Trump has multi-personalities.
He said this in an interview.
Over 120 Muslims were killed in the 9/11 that worked in the World Trade Center. So Muslims were also killed. They weren't dancing in the street. The world was in shock. Maybe Donald Trump was dancing in the street because he saw a way to make money off it, but that's about it.
You know what, Steve? At that time, I saw his face a couple of days after the 9/11 attacks, and I saw his face, Donald Trump interview on camera on one of the news, and I was in New York as well at the time, right before the 9/11 attacks, but I saw his face a few days later that I went back to New York, and I saw him on the news, and his face sounds like he's happy. Instead of him being concerned about what happened to those thousands of people that died on the 9/11 attacks, he looks to me like he's looking for business. He's kind of seeing future business for him to develop those towers, to do something. But it looks to me, I can see his face. He's talking about something else, but I can see the happiness on his face.
Well, that's right. Donald Trump did not pick up one stone from the building, one piece of glass. He helped no one. He didn't pick up a broom to help cleaning. He didn't. He did nothing except to make money.
No, actually he did.
I didn't see it.
No, he did. You know what he said? He said that he donated money to that cause, and actually the money went into his pocket.
Yeah.
He never went to the cause.
He donated.
He just put an entry to IRS. He put an entry to IRS saying that he did, but the money actually went into his pocket.
Well, remember, he's being audited for a reason. He committed crimes. And why this audit is going so forever slow when anyone else's audit, it's pretty rapid, who knows? I believe there are many crimes and felonies committed in his taxes.
Also, this could be another little trick of Donald Trump to make it last longer, so he can have an excuse to say, I'm not going to show my taxes because I've been audited. The audit has nothing to do. If you are honest president, if you are honest candidate, and if you have nothing to fear, show your taxes.
Well, Donald Trump Jr. put it the other day on the news that the reason he's not showing his taxes, it would cause too many questions that would steer away from Donald Trump.
One of the biggest questions is because he testified that his net worth is $10 billion, and actually his debt is $10 billion, and he's only worth less than $1 billion, because that's what Bloomberg was saying, that he worth less than $2 billion, probably. And they say maybe not even that much, but for sure he has a $10 billion debt. So whatever he said, whatever he told to the voters, it's not exactly what he reflects on his taxes. That's why he cannot show the taxes. If he will show his taxes, Donald Trump will not win. He'll lose.
You know, I believe in the future. In the last turn of the century, there was a guy named Ponzi who did Ponzi schemes and told everybody he was rich. Today we have Donald Trump who's following some of the same practices of Mr. Ponzi.
It's exactly true, yeah. Well, let's go to the light number 5. He say he have fund raised for $6 million for veterans in Iowa. What do you think about that?
That bold-faced lie, it took him over 6 months for him to donate his $1 million to his own charity supporting veterans that never went to the veterans. It's another lie.
Well, the charitable organization was interviewed, and they say that $6 million never came. Period.
What's being investigated now is Donald Trump's foundation illegally donating money to the Attorney General's political campaign, which the New York Attorney General has just now opened up a felony investigation into the Trump Foundation and Donald Trump for violating not only the 501c3 status of giving money and participating in elections. So he could be facing some very serious charges.
I hope so, because their viewers, we say the lie number 5, but actually each lie that we giving you,
it's a lie on top of a lie.
It's about 3 lies. It's like a triple lie, because my grandfather used to say, when you lie one time, you need to lie a second time to cover it. And that's exactly what happened here. If we tell you lie number 5, just be aware there is 3 more lies embedded in between this. Okay, so. Later on, this is strange. Later on, he play honest. And he wanted to play honest. That's another lie. Because he's not honest, right? And he said, I think my staff wrote the wrong check to the wrong charitable organization. Yeah. What a stupid excuse for somebody that claimed on his taxes 6 years ago or 6 months ago that he did raise $6 million for veterans. That is ridiculous. If anybody attempt to believe this, must to have the same mental issues.
These are the same fools that are donating money to a billionaire, Donald Trump, for his political campaign. I'm going to ask you, how stupid can you be to give money to Donald Trump, a billionaire? Please give me money.
I can't believe. Will you ever give money to a billionaire?
Not at all.
Steve, and even after Crook Trump said, I don't need your money, I'm a self-funded. I'm going to run for president, and I don't need money. I'm a self-funded candidate.
He didn't tell you that's blood money from people that he stole.
From bankruptcies, right?
Bankruptcies, from people's pensions, from teachers, from police officers.
He doesn't tell people that when he went bankrupt, he left 10,000 of a white Anglo employees without a job.
Without pensions, without jobs.
Without nothing.
These are law enforcement officers. He
fired them.
Small business people, doctors, contractors, business owners, children's college funds. Unbelievable.
Some contractors even went and went through divorce and went through a lot of family issues because what was caused to them by Trump. And I read an article where one contractor in Atlanta was ready to commit suicide because he went bankrupt too. Donald Trump went bankrupt, and he took bankrupt to many of the contractors that he didn't pay, that they already put their money into it and they never got paid. And lie number 6, this is incredible. Donald Trump says, this has been in the last, this is not recently, this has been the last 10 years, Donald Trump says he opposed to Bush invasion to Iraq. But in 2001 and 2002, on camera, on many news casts, Trump declared that he was in favor. And every time he continued to say that he was in favor until he decided to run for president, and now he wants to blame Obama for everything. So now, what do you think, Steve? He says that he opposed to the invasion.
I saw those interviews where he encouraged it, he forced it, and he's a liar.
But it's recorded. His voice is recorded. His ugly face is on camera. His ugly mouth is there too, where he's talking and he's saying that he supports and that we should even do more than not just Iraq. We should invade even more countries. But lately, he said that he opposed. It's just lately.
He can't tell the truth. I mean, he even if you show him a video, him saying it, he says it's not his voice.
But this is, guys, this is exactly what we're talking about. There is one lie, but there's 3 more on top of that. Now, he lied. He says, when they asked him, just in the last few weeks, they asked him if he was opposed or he was in favor. And he says he don't want to discuss it now. He want to discuss it later because he said that he needs to get more facts. This is incredible that after 10 years, more than 10 years, he still don't have the right facts. He's a liar. He's a liar. Lie number 7, Trump refuses to admit his close friend to Mr. Dave Duke, KKK. He refuses to admit, but in the past, Donald Trump shows on many events where Donald Trump was a donor and he was a supportive of the KKK. What do you think about that, Steve?
I think it's evident with David Duke, Grand Wizard, supporting Donald Trump, saying Donald Trump is his type of candidate, and he's encouraging all Ku Klux Klan members and Nazis to endorse. I mean, I believe he has met David Duke.
Well, David Duke claimed that they met at several events, and he claimed that Donald Trump did even fundraising for him. And how is that Donald Trump, now he said that he doesn't remember met him in person?
They even look alike. They could be brothers. Maybe David Duke is one of the lost brothers of Donald Trump's fathers.
Wow, but I hope voters can see the truth to this. First, that evidence shows both of them together, they have the same thoughts, the same way to think about minorities and the same way to think about racist issues. I believe that Donald Trump is way too related to the KKK for him to say that he doesn't remember. What a bad memory he has.
They're one and the same.
I don't want a president that forgets everything. What do you think about that?
Well, he'll be claiming early onset Alzheimer's when he's caught.
Do you think he might be too old to be a president and he's forgetting everything?
I firmly believe he suffers from traumatic brain injury, which could cause early dementia. It would explain a lot of things.
It looks to me like a lot of things he forgets, and he might be honest that he forget, you think? And if he's honest, and then he should not be a president. He should not be running for president. He's a little bit too old.
He claims he just got a health exam, but he didn't get a mental health exam.
Well, he might, knowing him and how many times he lied, maybe he did, and he just doesn't want people to see it.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know with him, okay? Well, let's go to the lie number 8. Trump lied all over his ridiculous books that he wrote. And according to Tony Schwartz, a co-writer, he says Donald Trump lying is a natural thing on him. That's his co-writer, Tony Schwartz. He says every book that Donald Trump wrote, they all lies. They all bunch of worthless philosophy and frame it things that are not correct and they're very inaccurate.
Well, you know, one of the reasons he lies is his dad taught him early on to win by suing, and everyone was afraid to challenge him. So he learned that lying and suing was a way of life.
But do you think anybody bought one of those books? Do you think any
I've never heard of it. So.
I never heard those books, you know. I really believe a person to go and believe on a liar and buy a book from a liar or a little coyote, that that's what he is.
Remember, Hitler had a bonfire to burn all books he didn't like. So perhaps Donald Trump will have a bonfire to burn all books that expose him.
I believe that those books are ridiculous, and I think anybody that buy those books waste their money and their time. Don't even waste 1 minute reading those books. A person that borns billionaire, he didn't make the money, he can't teach you nothing. You can learn nothing from a person that is nothing but a bunch of lies. Let's go to line number 9. Do you know that Donald Trump lately he went to Mexico?
Yeah,
And he lied too.
Yeah.
You know why he lied? He told voters he was on his way to Mexico to prove that he can make Mexico pay for the wall. As soon as he arrived to Mexico, Peña Nieto told him, I'm not paying for the wall. Mexico will not pay for the wall. And Donald Trump took it very nicely and friendly. He says, I love Mexicans. I love Mexicans. He says, Mexicans work very hard. And he says, okay. So he left to Arizona. And here's the lie, guys. Here's the lie. He goes to Arizona. A few hours later, that's why we think he's a sick, pathological liar. Because he got to Arizona, and now he says, they ask him, so what happened, Trump? Who's going to pay for the wall? And he says, oh, we have to discuss this a little bit later. This is not a time for discussion of the payment. Wait a minute. Trump, 2 hours ago, Peña Nieto told you Mexicans not paying for the wall. How can you forget? Just on a small little trip. Are you sick, pathological liar? Give me a break. At least be a man. I want to have a president. I want my president to be at least a man and accept that you went to Mexico and you lied to people and you waste people money. Your airplane burned approximately $225,000 on fuel from stupid donors that donate money to you for you to go over there, and just for Peña Nieto to tell you on your face that Mexicans not paying for the wall. Go ahead and build it if you want, but Mexico is not paying. That's exactly what was told to you. Did you forgot that? What do you think, Steve?
Well, like I said, the first time Donald Trump builds a 10-foot wall, I'm buying 12-foot ladders. I'm investing in those companies. Donald Trump couldn't tell the truth, you know, if his life depended on it. He couldn't tell the truth when his brother's life depended on it. So, you know, he says one thing 1 minute, one another. I really believe he suffers from multi-personality disorder. Maybe he's truly sane. One confronted just 2 days ago by a pastor when he started attacking Hillary in a church, and the pastor stopped him. He yielded to her. As soon as he left the church, the pastor, another one in Detroit, he turned around and attacked the pastor.
But you know, what is so sad, people are blind. His followers, I'm not talking about the white Anglo-America that doesn't follow Trump. God bless you. I'm talking about the white Anglo, because minorities are not following Trump. Those numbers that you heard, that 5% Latinos and 7% African Americans, it's baloney. Latinos
remember,
and African.
These are deplorable people. 50% of his supporters are deplorable. They're Islamic phobic, Hispanic phobic, sexist, women exposed phobic. We go on. These are the most deplorable people in America that are supporting him.
Correct, and then they are blind only because racist. Because you are racist, you blind. You should really sit back and think about it. This is America, and America is for different
I
colors.
think Hillary didn't go far enough. They're not only deplorable, they're despicable, they're ignorant.
But I love it, the way she put it out. It is a basket of deplorables. They are losers, right? That's pretty much what it is, because, you know, people are losers when they cannot compete with other people, and they thinking, okay, African Americans and Latinos are coming up, so let's put him down, let's keep him down. That's not going to happen. You know, African Americans and Latinos and whites should be united for make this country the best. No question about that. But, you know, again, you know, Trump put lie over lie and over lie. You know, he's telling people that he's going to do something and he do something else. So be careful, be aware. This is your candidate that you want him to win. If I were you, I would have a second thought about supporting a coyote like him. Let's go to the next slide. And I think we're going to talk about something that is is almost his slogan. Trump says, I'm going to fix America. How he's going to fix America? He can't even fix his own family. He can't even fix his own company. He done 5, 6, 7 bankruptcies. When they ask him how he's going to do about the debt owed to China, he says, I'm going to put America on bankruptcy. Oh, what a smart move, Trump. You know, what do you think, Steve?
He's going to destroy.
What do you think he's talking about? What he's going to
fix in America?
If we don't
pay our bills, we will destroy the full faith and credit of our dollar. Our dollar will tank. It'll be worthless. Nobody will want to trade with us. I think
so that's a lie. That's a lie, right?
He's ignorant. He's ignorant.
So that's 2 lies right there.
It's 3.
2 lies, 3. Well, 3, yeah. So he said he'll fix America. That's another lie. That's 3 lies right there. So how do you think voters that follow him would really believe that Donald Trump will fix something?
This is a man who doesn't pay his taxes, but he wants you to pay your taxes to fix his America. But he won't pay taxes. So if we all took the Donald Trump status, America will now have any tax revenue to pay our military,
Steve,
to build roads.
Steve, but what can he fix to America? America is great. Open your eyes. If you travel the world and you see other countries, you see how bad other countries are compared to America.
The only way he could fix America is by him jumping off a bridge.
By him not being a candidate. He can help America. But Donald Trump cannot fix America because America is great. America is being fixed already. In the last 8 years, remember, America was handed to Obama as a broken country. Nobody wants to be a president.
When Obama there was $10 trillion in debt. When George Bush took office, there was almost $1 trillion in surplus, and we were getting back money. So George Bush technically created $11 trillion in debt.
Republicans
that they want to blame Obama
because they control Congress.
Yeah.
And they control Senate.
Right.
So, and the president was a Republican. So Congress, Senate, and president were Republicans. And they handed a broken country to Obama. Open your eyes. Let's not be racist. Don't blame Obama just because he's African American. Blame the Republicans. I call the Republicans with KKK in the middle, because that's what they are. I used to be a Republican, but I don't want to be part of a party that is racist. So I will never be Republican, as I said before. But again, Trump cannot fix America. That's a fact. Put that in your mind. Put that embedded really deeply in your mind. Trump cannot fix America.
Wasn't it that Mark Cuban today offered him $10 million?
We're going to go to that. Yeah. Second lie. He said, at 12 night, he said, he will bring jobs back to USA. How he can say that when he's taking those jobs, he's manufacturing his ties, his suits, his clothes in Indonesia and Jakarta and Cambodia and Mexico and Philippines, and he's taking those jobs away. He's the one doing it. How can he bring it back? He's going to start manufacturing his own clothes in the United States?
And worse than that, in some of his factories, children are working. Child labor. This is unbelievable. This is a man who has no scruples and is without any ethics.
But the other thing is, Steve, what I really think is on this, he says he'll bring the jobs back to America from China and Mexico, basically.
Well, his ties.
Okay, but let me tell you this. When you buy something on the store today's date and it says Chinese made, you buy it at a half price. Are you willing Are you willing to pay American price if you're going to buy something for $50 and if it's American made, and are you prepared to pay $100? Consumers, voters, think about that. He cannot do anything because we are addicted to buy as cheap as possible.
It's true.
This is the truth. If anything that have an increase on tariffs to bring it importation fees or anything about bringing the jobs back to America, it's not true. We cannot, because we are addicted to buy cheap and we cannot afford to pay twice as much if it's American made. That's a fact. Right, Steve?
Yes.
Let's go to the lie number 13. Trump says that Obama founded ISIS. What a big lie. Do you think it's a big lie, Steve?
It's a horrible lie. In fact, what funded ISIS was many of the companies Donald Trump was doing with in the Middle East. He was doing multiple businesses with the Prince of Dubai, with the Saudi Arabian government. He was doing multiple businesses with Qatar and other countries.
How about his kids? Ivanka and Eric, they all socialize with those with all of those rich kids from the Middle East, and they socialize with the rich kids in Russia. So I believe that Trump would be really a big liar to try to mud Obama and say that Obama, just because he's African American, he is ISIS, and that he built ISIS and that he found ISIS. He said that many, many times for many months.
ISIS was created in the George Bush administration when the leader of ISIS was a prisoner in the camps, and it was a George Bush policy that allowed the ISIS leader to get away. And they tried to originally use ISIS against Al-Qaeda.
But do you know that the 100,000 members of the ISIS are people that suffered the war in Iraq?
Sure.
So the movement of the Republicans to invade a sovereign country, I believe that causes the formation of ISIS, because a lot of poor people, they looking for a change, and I don't think it's fair that they hand it to Obama. And if something Obama has done for all of this that happened in the Middle East, he's the one that killed Osama bin Laden. And nobody talks about that. Nobody gives him credit for that. We only look at the bad things that Obama did, only because he's African American again. This is racist. We are in a racist campaign. Open your eyes. Don't let anybody divide us. Let's go to the lie number 14. Do you know that in 1968, approximately, Donald Trump was drafted to go to war in Vietnam, and he came out with a false doctor's certificate for him not to go to Vietnam. This is how much he sacrificed for this country that he said he loves. He refused to go and defend this country. What do you think, Steve?
I think it still needs to be investigated. It was a felony then. It has not been
He should go to jail, right?
He should go to jail.
Military prison.
He submitted false documents. I think there need to be congressional hearings on it, and why the Republicans are afraid to do congressional hearings on him as a candidate for lying and all those American veterans that suffered as POWs and died and got wounded over there. He owes it to them to come clean on why he evaded his duty.
So not only he lied, he refused to sacrifice for his country. What a bad Muslim did, give his life for this country. Shame on you, Donald Trump. You refuse to go and fight for your country. I heard your son Eric says that you're a fighter, but you're only a mouth fighter, and you only fight with the females.
And he needs like a group of people behind him.
You don't fight like a man. You don't come and fight with a man against a man. You fight against females only, and you only fight with your mouth. That's exactly your personality, Donald Trump.
If you notice Donald Trump, he always has a group of people behind him, and he talks big. When he got with the president of Mexico, he could not do it one-to-one. When he was in the church the other 2 days ago, this was filmed, a female black pastor asked him to quit saying what he was saying in the house of God, and he backed down. He became less than a child. It was totally. It was amazing to see. So in a one-to-one
He's
situation,
he's so weak. Like, you know,
Yeah.
as a president, if he goes to defend this country, since he's never been in war, he's never been in the military, he's never been in the armed forces. I think Donald Trump will be worse than a female, because I think he will really buckle up, and I think he'll never respond the way he's supposed to respond for this country, right?
Right.
Okay. Again, let's go to the number 15. Trump says he received a phenomenal draft when he was going to go to Vietnam. Well, that was a huge lie too. That never happened. That was one of the biggest things that Trump says, that there is no evidence that he received anything like that. He lied. Lie number 17. Trump says he never met Putin, but many times he say both encounter. Well, we say that on the beginning, right?
Right.
Okay, number 18. Trump defraud and lie to 524 investors in Mexico, in Baja. He supposed to build a Tower Trump on the water, right on the ocean front. As of today's date, only not even broke the ground, and he took $70-something million from buyers, and he lied to all of them because he never had the intention to build the tower that he said he was going to do. All he did is took their money, and him and his daughter Ivanka disappeared from Mexico, and they called Mexican criminals. He's the first criminal that came to Mexico. What do you think about that?
I think it was not just Mexicans he defrauded. It was many Americans, pension funds and others that invested.
It was all Americans.
Yeah.
It was all Americans, baby
So
boomers.
he when he filed bankruptcy in that, he took the pensions of teachers, lawyers, doctors,
Baby boomers.
custodians, baby boomers, and if your pension suffered during the last crash, Donald Trump was one of the causes of the crash.
So Donald Trump has no remorse to take the money from American retire. Why is that a lot of people still follow Donald Trump, Steve? If they know that he has no remorse, he doesn't even blink the eye to screw and to rob and to take money from anyone.
Unsuccessful people look for someone to accuse, and that's exactly what Hitler relied upon.
And then you think people that are losers will follow him because they see him as a billionaire?
The only people following Donald Trump are losers. They're deplorable.
They have to be.
They're deplorable. They're despicable.
They need to get out of their butt, and they need to go and get a job.
Yeah.
And
they're a bunch of welfare recipients.
They can do better because see, they see in America broken, and I think they only see it broken because we have an African American president, and they cannot take that because they're racist and because they're losers and because they say, how can an African American be our president? And they're not used to that, and they don't want to get out of that. They want to continue believing that white is on the top.
Right.
And it won't happen because we have a lot of nationalities here, and we have very intelligent people from China, from India, from Latin America, and from Asia, from anywhere. So I don't really think the colors matter for the intelligence of the brains. It's just how much you work
and the beauty
and
of
what
America is we don't see color. We're all married.
We should be color.
We have Irish. We have
should be
Asian.
colorblind, right?
We should, but apparently Donald Trump is not.
But you know, God bless America, because there is a lot of white people that are not racist, and there is a lot of white people that are not supporting Trump. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Let's go to the number, one more of the big lies that he did. How about the lie about the Trump University? That was a big lie.
Wow, that's still going to trial.
We should not even spend too much time on that because, you know, everybody knows about the university fraud. This is the big lies that he did. He lied to people. Everybody, if you see the interviews, everybody says, Trump lied to me.
When Trump talks about a poor education, Trump is the leader in disaster education.
So I don't think he can educate anything. What can he teach you? He born rich. If he born rich and you are trying to get rich, he's not the right person to follow because he's not going to teach you anything. He's a false prophet. He can be an antichrist. He can be a Hitler, because he's brainwashing you, and somehow your brains are accepting it only because he's really playing your brains on the racism issue, so for him to get in and to manipulate you and you to do anything he wants you to do. Be careful with that. Don't let him manipulate your brains that way. Let's go to the next one, which is about Trump lie about his wife. How many times, you know?
New York Times is doing a story whether Ivanka is an undocumented illegal alien.
Melania.
No, his current wife, Ivanka.
Oh, Ivanka,
Melania?
yeah.
Yeah, that she's an undocumented illegal alien. That the paperwork was never
You mean
completed.
the first wife?
The final wife right now, Melania?
Melania.
Melania. So many wives he's had, it's hard to remember all the names.
And girlfriends too. Yeah.
But his current wife may not be a citizen, is what they're saying. There's an actual investigation whether he completed the appropriate paperwork, and he brought her into work.
Well, he lied.
He brought her into work, and so she lied on that paperwork. Are you here working? And she said no, and she was working, so she lied on the paperwork to become a citizen.
Well, today's I know she lied, and we're gonna do another program about Melania Trump. We're gonna investigate her, and we're going to get everything from Italy when she was a prostitute. We're going to do all of that. But Melania Trump promised that she would do a press conference to show every document that would support that she never broke the law in the United States as an immigrant. However, it's an evidence that when she first came to America, she came on a tourist visa. And then Donald Trump said that she was not working. However, she got checks. There is checks as an evidence that she made money when she was a tourist. She's not supposed to be working with a tourist visa. Well, that's one crime right there. Second crime, she didn't make the money as a model as she claimed. She claimed she made money as a model from a model agency. Well, she can never come out. She can never come out with the agency name, and she can never come out with any evidence that was an agency. And furthermore, she's been accused by many media outlets in New York that she was a prostitute, that she was an escort. That's a big difference from being a model to being an escort. So that's 2 or 3 crimes right there. So Donald Trump totally lied about his wife, because I think Donald Trump is aware, and everybody's aware, that she was illegal immigrant because she was working under a visa. Later on, she said that they asked her, what happened, how do you keep your visa legal? And she says, well, I had to go back to my country several times to keep it legal. Guess what? That means she was under a tourist visa, and the tourist visa expired every 6 months, and for her not to have the visa expire, the permit on the visa, so she needs to go back to her country and renew the visa every 6 months. And she was working in America with that visa. That's illegal. That's illegal. She should go to jail for that. What do you think about that, Steve?
Oh, I completely agree. She needs to be held to the same standards that Donald Trump is holding everyone else to. So let's start with her, and let the first person who's going to be deported be Melania Trump.
She should be the first one deported if it's justice in this country.
I mean, what's he going to lose? He could just marry another person, right? He could marry one of the homeless Americans.
She might not ever make it to the White House anyway, right? It might be another wife by the time the elections are over.
Yeah, by the time the election's over, he may be divorced and remarried.
I agree. But, regardless of anything, if Hillary Clinton wins, we'll make history in America. This is the first time in this country where a female becomes an honorable president of the United States. That's fantastic. Everybody knows. But if Trump wins, he also made history. This will be the first time that a prostitute steps as a first lady in the White House. That's a history too, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's a little bad
I mean, we've all seen the photos on Facebook and everywhere else.
Naked.
I have never seen
in Italy.
Photos like, if we had photos like that on our cell phones, the police would arrest us for having porn.
Well, I know some people in New York that they hire her as an escort. The elite people. Some of the Jewish people that I know in New York, they hire her as an escort and not as a model. I think there's a little difference, a little tweak between model and escort. They're both beautiful, but the model do something.
There's
and
so many lies. Are we going to have time to finish all?
I don't know.
Lies?
We still have.
He lies faster than we blink our eyes.
Let's go to the number 21. Let's go to the 21 lie. this is a very serious. Let's get serious on this. Trump asked his rental manager to not open any unit for African Americans. And when African Americans would show up to his rentals, there will be no vacancies. This is a fact. She testified, his manager testified. However, Trump went to court, and there are several cases in New York with regards to Trump racist rental practices where he refuses to rent to African Americans. This is a fact. There is no, you guys, anybody can go, any of the Trump's followers that think I'm not saying the truth, just go to the records. You can go into your own computer and just pull the records from the courts in New York in the 1976, 1974s, and you'll see that Donald Trump's been sued several times for discrimination, for discriminating against African Americans and probably Latinos. But Latinos,
I was going to say,
but Latinos don't know what to do.
It was people of dark skin color. They put the word C. So it was Latinos. It was just individuals.
But
I
think the ones that will do something because they more motivated to do things is the African Americans. The Latinos usually.
So they took the brunt of it.
Yeah, exactly. They always take the brunt. So the Latinos probably never did anything. But for sure, there is a lot of lawsuit cases in the New York courts about Donald Trump investigations and many times he was convicted of Donald Trump discriminating against the poor African Americans that he would not rent his units. And he told them that he didn't want to rent them. He said that to his manager. Later on, he blamed it on the manager and he refused to admit it, but it was more credible the story of the manager saying that Donald Trump gave the order not to rent to African Americans. It's a fact. What do you think, Steve?
I think, I don't know why the press is not putting this more in the paper. And every time there's a minority supporting them, they need to get a copy of these lawsuits.
I agree. Those are records. They there. It's not a smoke like what Donald Trump makes about Hillary. A lot of smoke and no fire because he has no evidence about Hillary doing anything wrong. We don't say anything if there is no facts. We can prove it at any time. We're here. We're not going anywhere. We can prove it to anyone. Let's go to the next slide. Trump says Japan should get their own nuclear weapons and defend themselves from North Korea. Isn't that truth? He said that many times.
He says yes.
Well, now lie, because now he says he doesn't remember saying it. And even they played the video where his ugly face is there, and he's talking like a big shot, and he's talking, and he's a bigotry person talking there, and he still don't believe. He says, I don't want to see it. So he walked upset because somebody showed him, and one reporter, he says, Mr. Trump, this is what you said. And he says, I don't want to see it. He don't want to see it because he's a liar, right? Do you consider that a lie or not?
That's beyond a lie.
That's beyond a lie, right?
Yeah, right.
That's fraud.
That's predatory. That's malicious.
That's malicious. That's a slander.
It's either lies and then it's malicious.
I think he's liable of slander every time. Premeditated. Now let's talk about one of the false promises and lie. I don't know how you call it, but this could be. He says he told the Americans he would deport. He would do a mass deportation of the immigrants to Mexico and to Latin American countries and anywhere else. Do you think he can do that? You think Donald Trump can?
Only if he starts with his wife, Melania, and sending her back.
But let me tell you that he lied. This is the third time he lied on one lie, 3 lies in one lie. Again, don't get confused, please. Next time
it's hard to he lies so much. It's
you know why?
Lies within lies.
You know what he say later? He says only criminals. Okay,
so that means his wife.
So that means his wife should be deported to her country first.
She overstayed her visa. She worked what she did, committed felonies, and then she committed a felony when she put on the immigration paper that she wasn't working. I mean, there's 4 or 5, felonies.
Let's talk about one more lie before we go, guys. It's been a pleasure to be with you guys and explore those beautiful lies of Donald Trump. Remarkable lies. This will be historical for the whole world. One of the biggest lies is about. Do anybody know who's Pam Bondi? This is the general attorney for Florida State, and this lady, she's as crook as Donald Trump. She booked a $25,000 donation from Donald Trump for her campaign. However, this money was a bribe paid to her, and it was even a conversation between both of them about this money to be paid for her not to prosecute the university fraud by Donald Trump. How do you like that?
You know, I don't know Pam Bundy.
Is that a lie?
It's definitely a lie. I don't know if she's related to Ted Bundy, the serial killer in Florida.
Bundy.
Right. Yeah, there was a Ted Bundy who was a serial killer in Florida who used to work for the Nixon administration.
Here we go. God made them, they get together, right? Wow. Let's go to the last one that I want to really make this. I want everybody go home, and I want everybody to start thinking about this last one. He said recently, he admitted Obama born in United States. But for months, for years, since 2010, he's been bragging and he's been lying and he's been telling everybody that Obama should show his birth certificate because he born in Kenya. He born in an African American country just because he's an African American person. This is so horrible. This is racist. Isn't the truth, Steve?
Oh, absolutely, especially since during the press dinner in 2010 is when Obama put Donald Trump in his place, is when the lie began.
But this is a good lie? Or is a stupid lie? Or I don't know how you want to call it.
It's racist. It's Donald Trump at his best.
Well, he said that for 5 years, and then after 5 years, finally he got cornered, and he says, yes, he born in America. Wow, what a candidate for president of the United States. But let me tell you this.
But let's remember, Donald Trump's mom was not born in America.
She was an illegal immigrant too, probably.
Another
and
illegal
his father
immigrant.
too.
Right?
Yeah, but you know, the last thing I want to say, I thought that was going to be good, but this is even better. This is even better. Donald Trump just came out with a very nasty, tricky thing. He says Hillary started the thing about Obama birthplace, not him. And he says he did a favor to the American voters. This is ridiculous. This is not even funny. This is ridiculous. He said he did us a favor because he started all of that investigation against Obama. And finally, there is a clarification. That was his own remarks. That was his own investigation that he did, and that was his own accusations that he did against honorable president, and only because he's African American. And now he wants to mad Hillary, saying that Hillary started up and he finished it. What do you think about that, Steve? That's so horrible. That's
one of
not
the
even
lies
a lie.
within the lies within the lies.
I mean, you're dealing with evil. You're dealing with an evil candidate, a Hitler, a liar, a con, a fraudulent person,
let's not
pathological liar.
Let's not hurt the German people because they're trying to disassociate themselves with the Trump family.
Who?
The German people are trying to say they want nothing to do with the Trump
Correct,
family.
but Hitler was not German. He was
Austrian.
Austrian.
Right.
Yeah, and Hitler was not, anyway, is not part of Austrian. No offense to Austrian people, they honorable people. No offense to American Anglo people that don't follow Trump. No offense to Germans. I'm not offending anybody.
I just want to say that if any of Donald Trump's supporters have been offended by me, thank you. You've made my day.
Not a big loss. You guys go ahead and support your evil, and you guys go to hell together, okay? See you guys next time.
All right. Si se puede.
It's been fun.